Hey, welcome back to the Insurance Lounge with me, Tanya.
And me, Kristy.
We are your local insurance agent in the Chattanooga, Tennessee area, and we are here to make insurance a little bit less boring and way more useful because our goal is to share with you what we know so that you feel more confident about your insurance so that you can better protect your family, your home, your business, and of course, your financial future. With that said, Christy, would you please do the honor and kick us off with this topic for the week?
I will, Tanya, but first I have big news. I
Oh
have
no.
big news. Exams are over.
Woo woo!
I feel like I've been taking exams. I'm so glad that kid nearly killed me through the last 2 weeks of school. So I've got a humongous weight lifted off of my shoulders because exams are over and it's officially summertime now. So woohoo.
Awesome. Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank
You
you. Thank
made
you.
it. You survived
I
it.
made it. I survived freshman year for the second time. But back to the insurance lounge, right? So we want to talk today about um, what we would call a home inventory, right? How do I have this coverage in my policy for my personal belongings? How am I going to know in the event of a huge loss, maybe even a catastrophic loss? What is all of that? What am I going to claim? How am I going to be able to give a list of what needs to be replaced in the event of a
Absolutely,
claim?
Christy. Yes. And we get this question so often in our office as well,
Yeah.
right? Because we as human, we love stuff. We love stuff. I cannot even tell you, Christy, how many times I surprise myself with how much stuff we have in the house, but
Oh,
we
for
only
sure.
know that every time we move, right? We promise that we won't pack stuff, but we always pack the houses with
It's one of
stuff.
the main reasons I'm never moving again.
and and here's another thing, right? So with so much stuff that we have that we can barely keep up on a regular basis, we certainly are going to have a very difficult time making sure that we don't miss anything, that we know exactly what we have in our living room and our kitchen and how many glasses we have and how many pillows we have in the guest room, things like that, right? So we want to share um this quick tip with you today because we want, if you, God forbid, if you ever have to go through that process and use your
Yeah.
insurance and you want to make sure that all of your hard earned belongings is replaced with like kind and
Mm.
quality, we want to make that process a little bit easy on you because I
Yeah,
can't
because it
even
doesn't have to
imagine.
be hard. It
It
doesn't have to
doesn't.
be hard. And I think people sort of put it off thinking, oh my gosh, that's going to take me forever. I'm going to have to sit down and write out a list of everything I own in my home. Not possible. There you go. You lost your light a little bit. Not really. You never lose your light. Um, but yeah, but it doesn't have to be hard. It's as simple as about 2 or 3 steps, right?
Exactly. And we want to share with you three steps today. And the first one is recording. We
Take
all
a
have
video.
our camera with us now. The day of disposable cameras and big recording cameras are all over, right? No more VHS tape. Now I don't even know why I say that because now I just date myself. So anyway,
Yeah.
so with our phone now, guys, we can do video walkthrough of our homes.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so it's just that simple, walk through the home, make a plan for it maybe in your head ahead of time so you know where you're going to go, but walk through the home, open the cabinets, narrate as you go. You're talking about the things that you're seeing, make special note of, you know, maybe things that are more valuable or precious to you, but it's really just not going to be a hard process at all.
Yeah, and some example like that you want to make sure, like not just your thing, but maybe like certain features in your home, Christy, there's more customized, like that helpful too in case of a loss, right? Whether it's partial or
Right.
total loss. So like some example of that would be, let's say you have some very special crown molding, that is like five, six
Perfect.
inches that
Yeah.
you want to make sure they get replaced in case of a loss. Let's say you spend extra money to get your countertops imported from somewhere.
Sure. Yeah.
Feel free to talk about that. It's your home, it's your pride and joy. Like, feel free to show off, especially when things that you buy or things that you have done for your home is more customized and is more special to you,
Yeah.
or maybe you pay extra premium for it.
You've got that slate floor, in your kitchen or your bathroom or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Absolutely. You want to note all of that. And the other thing I like to tell people is, update this video annually, maybe, if you could swing it that often, at least every 2 years, I would think you want to update that because we all like like you mentioned, we just acquire stuff all the time. So, maybe obviously those, the countertops and that stuff is not going to change every year, but it may at some point, right? And you definitely want to update your video if you've done any remodeling and make note of that.
Exactly. And that brings us to step number two, what you can
Take
do.
pictures. Take pictures of those, those things that are more valuable, like we've been talking about. If you have jewelry, collectibles, if you have your grandmother's silver, any kind of valuable
Baseball
art.
cards, right?
Yeah, yeah, collectibles, exactly. So you want to take pictures of those things. Um, Make sure that you take, a good enough picture that it captures the quality and the condition of the item and if you've got, receipts for those things, you definitely want to have that on hand as well. Create a digital file of that sort of information, receipts, appraisals, all of that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And, to Christy's point, when you're done making these videos and taking these photos, of course, you can store it to any device you have in your home, right? It could be an external hard drive that you keep somewhere safe in
In
your
a fire
safe.
safe.
Yes. Or it could just be on your computer and laptop, right?
Yep.
Oh, we have a friend here. Um, Hello, honey.
Hey, baby.
We want to make sure that we store that on the cloud as well. Let's say if you
Yes.
don't have access to a hard drive or a computer, for example,
Hmm.
just in case of fire or even water damage in a hurricane,
Right.
that your electronics is not ruined and then you can't get access to your photos and videos. So we highly recommend that. You can use Google, you can use iClouds, whatever services that
Yep.
you think that will fit. But that way, you know where it's at, your family know where it's at. You guys can get
Yep.
a
I was
hold of
going to
it
say,
very
make sure your
easily.
family knows where it is as well.
Exactly. And now, when we're talking about these special valuable items, okay, and we can talk about as tiny as a that's our office
Oh,
mascot. She is Miss Mayhem,
I love it.
aka Hannah, and
Hannah.
Hannah is at the office working 9 to 5 every day.
All right.
Ah. Um, so now with the valuable items, and of course your pets are valuable, but we're talking about things, okay? So it could be your baseball card, it could be an heirloom from your grandmother, it could be a grand piano, it could be a really nice guitar. And Christy, you know this, where we live, there's a lot of very, very high-end bicycles.
Cycling, yeah, you got it.
Yep. So whether you have a $3,000 mountain bike or a $6,000 road bike, those are specialty items that, in the event you really want to make sure those items are replaced. So
Yeah.
we do recommend looking at things like that, things that you spend really good money on. So let's say if you want to, you're a purse collector and you have lots of high-end purses and you want to make
Yeah.
sure those are replaced, take pictures of those guys. They get you a receipt when you walk out of that store in that cute little bag. Make sure you take a pictures of those receipts, as they can fade over time, things like that.
You've got it. You got it. And the other thing about those kind of items, right, Tanya, is um, in the event of theft, I think a lot of people don't realize that there may be certain limitations in our, just the basic part of their homeowners coverage for those items. So you might even want to schedule coverage of those items in a separate policy. Definitely
Absolutely.
something to talk over with your agent, whether that is something that you need based on what the items are and how your homeowner's policy covers them for different perils, but especially theft.
Exactly, guys. Exactly. Especially when you have very and not all of the valuable items that we give you an example on today is going to have that limitation, right?
Right.
So there are only a few specialized things that your agent can easily provide you that information. But the biggest items that usually people get separate insurance for would be, an engagement ring,
Right.
a diamond bracelet, maybe a
Sure.
a Rolex, a really nice watch.
Yep, yep, exactly. Art would be another
Yep.
one that I think I have this great open floor plan that I love, but I have no walls, so I can't have art, so I don't have this problem. But a lot of people do. So if you've got some higher end art,
Absolutely.
your drawer.
Absolutely. Now, another piece, when it comes to that, or even like firearms, there
Oh
are
yeah, good
collector
point.
items that could be three, $4,000 a piece, that type of thing. Now, we do want you to know that when you do insure those type of items, most carriers will ask for documentation. So you can either provide them with a bill of sale that's going to
Right,
have, all the serial numbers, things like
right.
that, and
Mhm.
detailed description of your valuable item, or you can also get them appraised, right? So
Right.
there's a lot of jewelers out there that would do that for you, things like
Yeah.
that. But regardless, if you're going to insure it, because they're going to cover you for a lot of things, you want to make sure that you have your documentation provided to the carrier, that your agent has a copy of it, you have a copy of it, so that if you do have to use your insurance, it's a seamless process for you.
Right.
That's what we highly recommend. The other piece that you want to keep in mind, especially if you are an art collector, right, and you're buying, $150,000 piece, $200,000 pieces, things like that. Okay, on your homeowner's policy, the personal belonging protection has like a total amount, right? It could be
Right.
200,000, 300,000, 500,000, whatever it is that you have on your policy. If you're going to have that much valuable items in your home, make sure you compare that total to the total limit that you have on your home policy.
Right.
Because,
Yep.
yes, we want to help you replace those very, very, very valuable items. But we also want to make sure that you get your bed sheets, your furniture, your
Your
pots and
coffee pot.
pans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So just make sure you consult with your agent, double check your limits. Most carrier nowadays will allow you to pick your personal item protection limit, right, Christy?
Right,
So
right.
that should be a easier adjustment, but just kind of keep an eye out on that. You don't want to have like $200,000 protection and 100,000 of that is in art.
Yeah.
You will not be happy when you have to replace all your stuff inside, I promise you.
I think the last thing that I advise people, Tanya, is just, organize that information. Like we've talked about, having a digital file in the cloud, but have any of those you talked about taking pictures of your receipts. They do fade over time. I found two receipts in my purse the other day. They're completely blank. I was like, why
And
was
it
I
was
saving these?
it was from last week.
I was saving them for some reason, but I don't know, and I can't figure it out because they're gone. That paper and the ink that they use, I guess. At any rate, so take your pictures, organize that stuff together. You talked about giving a copy of it to your agent. Yes, because at the moment that you've had some kind of big loss, it's chaos, right? And who can sit down and think about all of the things that you need to replace? So that's another purpose behind the whole idea of the inventory. You've got that there, and you don't necessarily have to provide that, that video to your agent, but store it in the cloud. But get that stuff together as far as your documentation, your appraisals and bills of sale, your any kind of itemized list you have. Get that to your agent so they can help you in that, in that point of just chaos and you don't know what's going on and what needs to be replaced.
Absolutely, Christy. And thank you for kicking off the topic today on that.
Yeah.
let's just do a quick recap for our audience of,
Sure.
what should I do? What are something I should know when it comes to home inventory?
Yep. Easy three-step process, right? So take the video, walking around, narrating. Just a video with no sound, probably not going to help a whole lot. You want to note the things that are of particular importance or greater value. Anything new, you want to note those things.
Yeah.
What next?
Number two is if you have any valuable items at all, then you want to make sure that you take photos of those. If you have documentation like sales receipts or appraisal, you want to save those. And I think you mentioned earlier, Christy, if you have certain electronics that are valuable to you, capture the serial number, the model number, things
Yeah.
like that is going to help in case of a loss. And like Christy said, it is not just about providing the adjuster with receipts or anything like that. I think most of the time, especially in a big loss, like the adjuster are not going to ask you for itemized item. I mean, it's great if you provide it, 'cause it's going to make the process a lot smoother for you. We just want you to even remember what
Right.
was damaged or what was lost in a claim, right? And that way
Yeah.
you can get your valuable items back.
Yeah. I think that's
Now,
more of the point to me.
yes, now if they are very, very special items, Christy, then what is the third step? What should I know?
Keep that file documented nicely, getting that additional coverage for anything that, that might be limited in your homeowner's policy. Talk through that with your agent so that they can help guide you on what might need to be covered additionally.
Absolutely. And if you don't have an agent that can help you with that,
We know a few
Christy and
people.
I, yes, Christy and I are available. We'll put our link on the bottom so then you know how to reach us. And with that said, until next time, thank you for tuning in. We hope you find it helpful today, and we will see you next time.
See you next. Bye bye.